an F-bomb that the mic picked up for one of the players perfectly.
Cardero Patterson, yup.
The announcer's reaction was like a little bit delayed, like, oh, okay.
I thought it was going to just be a CBS game on Nickelodeon, but they had a Nickelodeon star doing it, some broadcaster I'd never heard of, and Nate Burleson. He's hilarious. So, he brought a little bit of credibility to that team. But they were just... The whole production was just crazy. When there were penalties, they had young Sheldon coming on, explaining what the penalty was. When someone scored a touchdown, they had slime cannons going off. They compared different players to Nickelodeon cartoon characters and stuff like that. They were asking players, who's your favorite, Nick? What was your favorite cartoon when you were a kid? And so it was really, really fun if you're a kid. I can see it being the best football game you've ever watched if you were a kid.
The line should just be adopted across the league instead of the first down line.
Yep.
But I did see a hilarious tweet. I don't know if you guys saw this one about it, and it was when viewership of the NFL is down in 10 to 12 years among younger young adults. Remember that the NFL chose to expose children to 3.5 hours of the Bears' offense.
That's fair, because it was definitely like I said in the beginning, the Indianapolis-Buffalo game was the best game to watch as a fan. The Saints-Bears was the worst game to watch as a fan.
Oh, I disagree. And we'll talk about that game next.
Unless you hate the Bears, that was definitely I don't know. I would say it was the most boring because as much as we'll touch on the next game, at least that game had some eventual back and forth action. The Bears were just stifled the entire night.
I mean, it should have been.
And quite frankly, in that game, the Saints left me underwhelmed.
Yeah.
For what the Bears were doing, I would expect the Saints to put up more points.
Yeah, the Bears do have a good defense, but I just don't think. I think the Saints realized that once they were up, and once they had scored 3 touchdowns, that the Bears were just never going to come back, so they were just kind of coasting.
I guess that's true.
It was really funny when they were explaining things for kids. They were talking about Khalil Mack and how good he is, and Nate Burleson said, "Have you ever run in gym class and run into the padded wall and realize it actually kind of hurt? Well, running into Khalil Mack is 100 times as bad as that." So
I wonder how much time they had to go into trying to make illusions that kids will understand.
They did it the entire. I watched it on Nick because I had to.
Yeah.
It was crazy. All the things. Yeah, when someone.
I give the NFL all the credit in the world for going to Nickelodeon too, because obviously, the fan base. Most people aren't putting their children into football and everything, so you've got to try and create that, that fan base going forward. And by reaching to this avenue, it seems like they did it correctly, and it was a smart move by the NFL.
Yeah. So when
plus, it's a little more lighthearted way of viewing the game.
Last thing I want to say about this before we move on, because we have a few minutes, we still have another game left. When Mitch Trubisky threw the best throw of his entire life, and it was dropped in the end zone. I don't remember who the receiver was, but they went to Matt Nagy, who had his head in his hands, and Nate Burleson said, "Have you ever been given homework, forgot to do it, and saw the expression on your teacher's face when you forgot to do your homework? That's what he's feeling right now." It's like, Nate, where are you coming up with this? This is ridiculous. Where are you coming up with this stuff?
Definitely wrote some of those down and then had to think of a few off the top of his head. He's like, all right, what are kids going to relate with? Homework, yes.
Yeah, yep. Oh, man. Anyways, so let's move on to the final game. Oh, man. Browns-Steelers.
Got it right.
Seriously, I picked the Browns, and I think Dan O'Shea was the only one to pick the Steelers.
Yeah, and I had no faith in the Browns, and I guess they took that personally, like MJ. They just came out and mollywopped the Steelers.
when
Good for them.
when
I mean,
Juju
how come
started
the Steelers are down by 7 points in the first 7 seconds.
Yeah.
when Juju starts talking shit.
Get out of their way.
As soon as Juju tweeted that it's just the Browns, it's no big deal, that's when I was like, oh shit, Cleveland winning.
Yeah.
And oh man, like how do you even? The Browns are going to give the Browns are going to give the Chiefs a hard time with that two-headed running monster, and then all the speed they have at receiver. I'm not saying the Browns are going to beat the Chiefs, but the Chiefs are not going to have a fun game.
Well, it depends which Browns defense shows up, because sometimes you see the defense that showed up on Sunday, and then other times you see like a bottom of the league defense.
Yeah, it's
so
either
if their defense continues to perform, then I agree with you. It'll be a really good game. But if their defense, is like sitting back on their laurels or something, then they're gonna get destroyed by the Chiefs.
So their defense can be described as either Taki-Taki, which love that name, or Tiki-Taki. So which one's it going to be? If you can make Ben Roethlisberger throw 5 interceptions and recover a fumble in the end zone, you're going to have a good game, definitely. But Pat Mahomes is not making those mistakes. So you have to take advantage of every bit of offense you can. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt need to play the best game they've played all season.
For the game that it was with Cleveland, Seattle, I will say it was the best word to describe it was the whole game was sloppy.
Yeah, you're right. Sloppy is the best way to put it. It was, but it was fun.
Oh no, it was definitely entertaining to go out like that. I mean, to finish the playoffs with what seemed like it was done before it even started, to like the Steelers actually trying, and if it wasn't for the rapist throwing 5 interceptions, I mean,
yep,
could have been a different game.
It could have.
Yeah, he looked awful. Big Ben looked awful. That was like a Big Ben stat line, though. Like, having like 4 or 5 touchdowns and 5 interceptions and almost 400 yards. But he just looked like he wasn't making the right reads. His receivers weren't getting open either, really, and helping him. But he was just throwing poor balls that were like ducks in the air half the time. I know he wanted to go out on top or whatever, but I wouldn't be surprised if he retires.
Yeah, it was definitely not the best game. If you're a Steelers fan, it's definitely not the game you're hoping for. And we're going to end the first half of the show there. And on the other on the other side of the break, we're going to discuss the upcoming playoff games. So stick around. You're listening to Dan D'Antoni Sports. And welcome back to Dan D'Antoni Sports. Thank you all for returning. This is the second half where we're going to be talking about round 2 of the NFL playoffs. And we got some really good matchups scheduled coming up. I don't even know where to start. This is going to be one hell of a playoff picture. There's only one game that I really am not looking forward to seeing, and I guess we will start there. And I'm sure you guys can all figure out it's the Rams Packers.
Of course.
I mean, just the other games. Browns Chiefs, that sounds great. Ravens Bills, sign me up. Buccaneers Saints, third time's a charm for the Buccaneers. Who knows? That's a divisional matchup. That's exciting. Rams Packers, on the other hand, not excited.
I do think Browns Chiefs is a big underdog one, but and like normally I'd probably say that's in the same realm, but after last week, you know, it does seem more hopeful.
I just personally don't think that. Fuck you, guy.
Welcome to On a Train with Dan D'Antoni Sports.
Horn blows to the driver. So to me, the Rams one is that game itself. I, honest to God, do not see a hope or a prayer for the Rams at all. I think that they could get home, but the problem is you're going up against the Zeus of quarterbacks who understands what things are happening. He understands what's going on. He's going to check down. He's going to check out to the safe play. He's going to, not to mention, even if it does become a shootout, I've seen Aaron Rodgers time and time again in regular season and playoffs that if he has the ball in his hands in the last 3 seconds, he could be on the 1 yard line. It's going to make it to the end zone, and someone's going to catch it.
Yeah. As a Cowboys fan,
did they play each other regular season this year?
I don't believe so.
As a Cowboys fan, I do want to say I feel personally attacked by you talking about him doing this in playoff games because it's happened twice now.
It happens all of the time.
But, I just don't understand how there's a possibility that the Rams are even in this game. Again, it's any given Sunday, anything can happen. You know, what's his name? Devontae Adams could have to poop and run into the locker room Lamar Jackson style, and then he's down to Montez Valdez-Scantling. And
he didn't do a Paul Pierce.
Yeah. But I don't see a path to victory for the Rams. I just don't see it.